Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. We're here today talking about the WCTV Game of the Week. That's tonight. We're here with head coach from Independence High School, Scott Stidham, head coach from Summit High School, Brian Coleman. We're talking about the border battle, big game in WCS this week. Thanks for being here, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Coach.
So tonight's game, again, we mentioned it's the border battle, big rivalry, Independence Summit. It's also a region game, which makes it extra important as well. We'll start with the veteran, Coach Coleman here. No reason to have to give the old win one for the Gipper speech tonight, huh?
I surely hope not. I mean, you go through practice and you talk about players that they're playing against. They know every one of them. So, it shouldn't be. The motivation factor should be there tonight for sure.
Same on your side, Coach Stidham?
Without a doubt. It didn't take me long when I got hired last December to learn really quick that this is a big football game for us. So our kids are excited to play tonight.
Let me ask you this, Coach Stidham, since this is your first time being on the Coaches Show with the matchup coming up. How have you enjoyed your time so far in WCS?
Oh, it's been great. It starts with administration at the top down. Williamson County Schools is outstanding, and here at Independence, it keeps going. We're working with great people and all the resources, and this show, all the things out there, they're not everywhere. So we talk to our kids a lot to understand how special it is to play here.
Well, I always mention to coaches and mention to people in the area, these things can maybe seem like an inconvenience sometimes for the coaches. I know you guys are getting ready for the game, for your players. We do those media days and those things like that. But hopefully everybody understands it's about promoting your schools, promoting your teams. And again, appreciate you guys being a part of it today. Coach Coleman, let me ask you this. In a game like this, and I know all the WCS games sort of feel like this. This one's a little extra special being the border battle. But do you have to tell your team before the game to maybe dial that emotion back just a little bit until the game starts?
Oh yeah, during the week you definitely do. You don't want to get too hyped up on a Tuesday or Wednesday. You have to dial it back. Concentrate in practice, do those things right, and then Friday night cut it loose. There's no sense in getting too emotional on a Thursday practice or anything like that. Just to totally use that emotion up. Just try to pin it up and let it go on Friday.
Coach Stidham, your first game as the coach at Independence in this border battle, have you sensed throughout the week that it's a little bit different than maybe some of the other games? You mentioned when you got there, you found that out, but how's this week gone?
Our students, our whole student body, our faculty, everybody's excited about it. And so, we know what we're in for. And like you said, though, every game in this region, you better show up and play. And our kids are excited, and the environments are really special. So this one's going to be a little different level. But like Coach Coleman said, we need our kids just to show up and be ready to play at 7 o'clock and not before then.
This game has been played since 2013. It hadn't always been a district or region game. Independence leads that overall series 5-4. Summit has won the last three games. Last year's game, 48-28 at Summit. Coach Coleman, 4-4 in the series. You've coached all but one game in these matchups. Coach Stidham, obviously your first game, as we had mentioned. Coach Coleman, there have been some streaks in this series. When you first got started, you guys lost the first three, but now you're on that 3-game winning streak. So this one's kind of been streaky.
It has. And we're trying to get our program first started, and I believe that's when Independence was on a roll and making appearances in the state championship game and stuff like that. And then last few years we got on a little streak, but they were always, with the exception of last year, man. I think, was it 2 years ago? That game was, I think we played it week one. It was one of the most exciting games of the whole year. A lot of people had said, even starting it off week one. I mean, it was back and forth game and such an exciting game to start the year off with. So this one's going to be no different. I hope our kids compete. I hope our kids can, live up to our end of the deal to this year.
Yeah, Coach Coleman, that game you mentioned was a shootout, 40-34.
Yeah.
And that was, you were right, one of the best games, not only for your team that year, but really in all of WCS. It was so exciting. Coach Stidham, talk a little bit about your game last week. Your kids have been playing well. You come out with that game with Brentwood. Really, I don't know if dominate's the right word, but through 3 quarters, you're leading 17-3. It's on the road. It's looking like you got that thing in place. Brentwood, as they often do, made a run at you in the 4th quarter, end up getting you in overtime. Trey Hartwell stopped just short, but that one had to sting just a little bit because really you had it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of plays we'd like to have over. We watched film and showed the kids that it wasn't just that play in overtime. It wasn't a field goal. That at any play during the week, during that game, we could have found a way to do a little bit more. We might have been able to pull it off. But credit to Brentwood. They're a great team and played really well. I was really proud of our kids, the way we played. We just needed one more play to find a way to get a win. And hopefully we're learning and continue to build off of it. But it was definitely an emotional game for sure.
Hartwell had two different times this year. The Centennial game had a big run in the 4th quarter to give you guys that win. Also a big run there against Franklin. Talk about your thought process going for 2. I love that. I love that you guys went for it and said, look, we're going to try to win this game on the road with one play, and you give it to Hartwell, which has worked out a lot of times this year. But to talk about that decision-making in terms of going for 2 there.
Well, it started going in. As soon as we got in overtime, we told the kids if we won the toss, we were going to do it. And we'd had trouble stopping them in the 4th quarter. And they're a really good defense also. And so we were going to have trouble scoring against them, we thought. And so we just thought that getting it to one play gave us the best chance to win. And our kids are excited about it. Well, we went for 2 and got a pass interference call. So actually we were on the 1.5. And, we just came up short. And if we can't get 18 inches in that situation, we probably don't deserve to win. And just challenged our kids. And we're going to hopefully continue to get better. And we've had a good week of practice. We got a bunch of really good kids here and coaches, and they responded well, and hopefully we'll continue to use this to motivation to get better.
Brooks Sapone with a nice game for you, Coach, 14 for 23, 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. Hartwell, Hudson Cobb, Steele, Katina, all scoring touchdowns for you. I know, obviously, you've had Cody's been out, Pagash has been out, but Sapone has really stepped up for you, Coach.
Well, Brooks is a winner. He's a high-character kid, hard worker. He's one of the best safeties around here. Someone's going to give him a chance to play college football. He doesn't check the boxes of being tall enough or having a great 40, but he's a football player. And so to have him there and stepping in, willing to do whatever to help our football team. And so he's someone that can hopefully cause some people problems because he can run, and he threw really well last Friday also. So hoping we can do it again tonight.
Coach Coleman, you had a young man last year we kept having that conversation about too. Somebody's got to give him a chance. Talking about Brady Pierce, he was much in the same mold for sure.
Much like him, because I think Brady probably would have been our backup quarterback last year also. So he's just such a good athlete. Just sometimes they don't check all the boxes, and you gotta talk to these college coaches and tell them, dude, just put the film on. Just watch these kids play. They play with desire. They play with heart. They play bigger than they are. Some coaches in college listen, some don't. We're thankful for the ones that do listen to us and give those kids a shot.
Coach, I know we're talking about your team this year, but I know you're pretty excited. I know I am personally a big Kentucky fan. Our man Keaton Wade is playing some ball now for Kentucky.
He's playing, getting better. The defense coordinator last week made a comment about him exactly almost word for word what our coaching staff always said about him, that he's a people pleaser. He wants to do the right thing. And Coach White said he just wants him to go play, just relax and go play. And he's getting playing time on kickoff. He's been coming in on 3rd downs and stuff like that. So, we're really proud of him. Turned into Kentucky fans really fast. Coach has guys who have a great program. So we're happy for him. Destin's on the sideline. Brady's on the sideline, at home games. So really proud of those guys. And Cooper Cook's there at MTSU playing a little offensive line. So we're very proud of all our alumni.
Yeah, it's exciting. It really is. Coach, a game last week with Ravenwood 35-10. Ravenwood playing without Chris Parson. I think they only threw 3 passes in that particular game.
Yeah.
Offense struggled a little bit last week. I think you had 104 yards of total offense. Logan Frazier with a big run there late in the game, 55 yards for a touchdown. With your team, especially how well you had played the previous week against a really, really, really good Beach team, was that a little bit of a disappointment for you that it didn't go a little bit better last week?
Yeah, I'll have to admit it was. Beach is a really good football team. We had them 13-7 in the fourth quarter. Really proud of the way our kids played. And then, we come into the Ravenwood game. I thought it'd be some extra motivation for them, knowing that Chris Parsons wasn't playing. Didn't quite turn out that way. I think Ravenwood had they were ready to play a whole lot better than we were. They kind of took it to us, ran the ball. You mentioned 3 passes. I don't think Coach Hester needed to throw it too much because they ran the ball so well. And, their offensive line did an excellent job of getting a push. Our young guys up front had to learn to get lower and use leverage. We're doing a lot of learning this year, a lot of film watching, a lot of teaching and practice just to get better. I mean, our kids want to get better. They want to win. But just sometimes the youth comes in, that inexperience comes in. I don't want to beat a dead horse saying it all year, but I don't, a lot of these kids, these are the first football games they played in, starting to play a lot more sophomores. So, just trying to get better week to week and make a game out of it tonight.
Well, let's face it, that's with a young team like you've had, because it really hadn't happened this year. That's bound to happen something that you have maybe one of those games because they haven't been through those games like your guys who played last year for you. But, you talk about a team like Coach Kreisky's got at Centennial. Now they're sort of reaping what you've gone through right now. They're reaping the benefits of playing those kids earlier. You've done it before. Not that you're giving up on this season because you're not, but certainly this is going to pay off, whether it be the end of this year, next year, or the following year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, these seniors, they're trying hard, they're playing hard, and I hate it for them their senior year, but they've got memories too from years past. They've got great memories, and they've had the high school football experience. Not everybody can go 14-1 and go to a state championship game. So you got to take positives out of the season, the camaraderie, the brotherhood and the family type stuff that we've gone through. There's a lot of positive things that come out of a season like this. It's just not always, coming from a coach where we won and whatever. It's not all about winning all the time. But like I said, these kids are playing hard. They don't want to lose. They want to do their best for their family, for their school, for their community. So we just keep on coaching them up and we'll go from week to week and see what we can do.
Let's talk a little region outlook. We've got Franklin and Summit both 0-3, Independent, Centennial, Brentwood all 2-1. Ravenwood sits atop the league 3-0. After this week, Independence will finish hosting Ravenwood. Summit will take on Franklin. The way, and I've looked at this a lot of different ways, but honestly, 2 wins, depending on what wins they are, could still get you in the playoffs. I think 3 certainly does. So a lot to still play for, Coach Stidham, for sure, for your team.
Oh, yeah, I think, everybody's still in it because 2 could get you in. It also you could be out with 2 with the tiebreaker. So,
right.
It's a challenge, for sure. There's nobody. Every game we played 3 road games in this region. Every one of them's come down to basically a 1-score game. So we understand what we're in for, and we're expecting the same thing tonight.
Coach Coleman, for your team, you're looking at 0-3, but you've still got a shot. There's scenarios. If you win tonight, you beat Franklin, that you could still get in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a lot to play for region-wise for us tonight. If you get those 2 wins, maybe get some help along the way, but definitely a lot to play for.
Let's talk about your offense a little bit. Coach Coleman, last time we talked, we had talked about the play of Austin Harvey. Continues to be a good leader for you. Also, Dominic Hollis has played well throughout the year. Talk about some other guys who've been stepping up for you offensively.
One of them that I like to mention is Ian McCarthy. He's our right guard. He is a sophomore. He's gotten a whole lot better throughout the year. He's going to be a really, really good football player. Just a hard hard-nosed kid, playing really hard for us on the offensive line. I guess the other one is our tight end, Pryor Browning. He's about 6'6", wears about a 15 shoe. He's also a sophomore tight end. He's playing hard. He wants to get better. He's hungry. He's got the body for it. He's still growing. He's just a sophomore, so he's going to do a lot of growing. So he's going to be quite a prospect down the road. So a lot to look forward to with those two guys. And it's their work ethic and how they want to be better in the weight room and things like that, and just eating up the football and asking questions and stuff like that. So we're really proud of those two.
Coach, and you had mentioned, I think any of us who've coached been through ups and downs in terms of seasons. But I'm guessing with your sophomores, there's definitely an air of excitement. They're getting to play, they're getting better, and they know there's some games on down the line beyond this year too.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is. I mean, if you're in a public school setting, you're going to have a team that has a senior heavy, and then the other team's not going to have much experience. So, I mean, I think that's just the way it goes. We can't recruit our kids, and you know what? You can't stack the class behind them, and you can't trickle in a few sophomores here. We just had a great big senior class last year that all played together. And when you're replacing one kid on offense and that kid goes a different position, I mean, it's going to be tough. You're going to have some growing pains, but along with the growing pains, you got younger kids that are getting better each week.
Coach Stidham, your squad, you've battled some injuries. Cody Pagash, Ty Lockwood missed some time for you this year. Obviously, Trey Hartwell, a guy we talk about a lot. Brooks Sapone, those guys have stepped up. Talk about some other guys on the offensive end who've really been playing well for you.
Well, I was excited for Hudson Cobb to score that touchdown last week. We got several receivers that we're excited about. Daniel Morales, Braden Needham's done a great job for us. Steele Katina played really well last week. We Justice Duarte came in and played tight end with Ty out. So those guys did well. And then we feel like our offensive line continues to get better. Jake Woodward, we moved to center. Last week, we were on our third center of the year with Ben Miller out. So first time he'd played there, really continues to get better. So we're excited about who we have. Kenny Johnson's a tackle that continues to improve. And we're just excited about all those kids and how they continue to get better. There's a lot out there that we still have to play for. And tonight's a big one. Hopefully we'll play well tonight.
With in your sport, I think as football coaches, the next man up was created because of football. It's the nature of your sport. You guys know that going in, right, Coach Coleman, that really every play is sort of like a train wreck, so to speak. It can happen in an instant.
And you preach that to your kids daily. I mean, you're in practice and they may be behind the huddle, not paying attention. You're like, I don't know how many times I say that a day. You got to be ready to go. You're the next year. I mean, you're one play away, and that's 100% true. I mean, that's a physical sport. I mean, you get dinged up, and then, heck, you might get dinged up for a couple plays, and you got to be ready to go. I mean, and like Coach is on his third center. I mean, heck, and as coaches, you kind of scramble sometimes too. You're like change the guards to center, tackle to center, guards to tackles, whatever. And coaching staff has to be ready for that. Kids do too. A lot of things can happen in a football game. A lot of things can happen week to week as far as injuries, and even getting banged up a little bit can happen.
Coach Stidham, I was talking to one of our other coaches in the league earlier today, and we were talking about their game tonight. And one thing that was mentioned was, man, we're banged up, but so is everybody else, right?
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, we all are. But that's why you play JV football games, get kids ready. It's different. But, like Coach says, they've got to be ready to go and understand that it doesn't take much for all of a sudden you're in the game. And so we've had kids, and we've had to, it's like putting a puzzle piece together. And we have a lot of times we'll pull kids out and practice those situations and kind of go over worst case scenarios, because it happens a lot. And so you have to have those next kids ready to go and just throw them in there and see what's going to happen.
Coach Coleman, let's talk about your defense a little bit. Played well at times. To me, that Beach game really stands out. That's a team that really runs the ball well. They've got a nice team offensively and defensively there at Beach. But that one, to me, really stood out how well you played.
Yeah, led by Finley Jamison. Finley's been he's been our middle linebacker for a few years now. Just undersized young man that just plays with his heart. I think probably the leading tackle in the state championship game last year. He's had the experience, he's had the leadership, playing at a high level at middle linebacker for sure.
Talk about Finley's leadership on defense, because obviously he went through it last year. He was one of your main guys. You talked about he led the team in tackles last year. Now he's got to be a little bit more of a vocal leader, and it's a different kind of scenario. He's playing alongside some young guys that he's trying to bring along.
Yeah, and every kid's different. I mean, everybody's personality is different. His is by doing, I guess, more than a rah cheerleader type guy. He's a follow me. I'm going to give my best, so I expect you all to too. And every kid's different. Every leader's different. You've had quiet leaders. You've had, leaders that'll get in your face. And he's just not that type of kid. But the other kids see him play hard and they respond.
Coach Stidham, defensively, I took a look in your wins. You've given up 17 points or less. The losses have been a little bit more high-scoring games. Is that really based on opponent, or do you feel like your team, in order to be successful, needs to keep the score a little bit lower?
Probably so. We probably do need to keep it down with some of the injuries we have. That it's hard defensively. I feel like it's easier to plug kids in and play, but offensively, the consistency and continuity that has to work together as a unit is really important. But we have played well defensively at times. And we need to play well tonight for sure.
Coach Coleman, let's talk a little special teams. It seems like in these rivalry games especially, something breaks on special teams. And I'm not talking just field goals. I'm talking coverage and those types of things. Special teams seem to really play a part in these games.
It's huge. I mean, the percentage of winning a football game go way down if you get a punt blocked. I mean, it's big. And then you can move on to extra points. Hopefully it's going to be a tight game tonight. It may come down an extra point or two. We've experienced that a lot last year. And then you miss an extra point early, and then you start chasing points, and it snowballs on you. And then as a coach, you got to decide, well, do we go for two the next time, or how does that scenario play out? So special teams are very, very important. I mean, where does our defense start on it? If we kick off, how good of a kickoff return do they get? Are they at the 50? You put your defense in a bind, or are you fortunate enough to kick in the end zone and start, on the 20? So, special teams is huge. It's huge for everybody. Kickers are important. Travis Arrington is our extra point kicker and field goal kicker. He's done good on extra points this year. So it's going to be a tight game. It's a rivalry game. So, points are going to be critical.
Coach Stidham, I'm just wondering if what your perspective is. I know when I came into this district, one of the things that stood out to me is the high-level kickers that we have in this league. It's almost got a college feel to it when you're talking about the types of field goals that our coaches will try in terms of distance.
Oh, absolutely. It stands out to you. They can kick it. They can punt it. The snappers are good. And so, that skill stands out for sure. There was a great one at Independence last year, and so there's been a long tradition of them. And now we're playing a young sophomore, Landrick Majewski, that continues to get better and made some big field goals for us in both of our region wins.
Let's talk a little bit more specifically about tonight's game. Coach Coleman, offensively, again, you talked about your struggles last week. What are some things your team needs to do tonight to step it up and take this game?
I think we definitely need to run the ball to set up the pass. We've gotten into chasing situations in the last couple of games, especially the Ravenwood game where we have to pass more than we like. We'd like to be a run the ball first football team, and then that'll set up your bootlegs and play action and stuff like that. So running the football is going to be critical. We need to get Dominic Hollis going. We need to get him some holes so he can run through, and then manage that clock also. And also always turnovers, protect the football. I mean, that's the number one for sure.
Coach Stidham, what about your team offensively? We've got to be able to run the football. It starts with that when you have Trey Hartwell. And so we've got to be able to block a really good defensive line and linebackers and give him a chance. He's because of the way been playing, struggling some with our offensive line early in the season. He's had to make some great runs to get back to the line of scrimmage. So we got to give him a crease and give him a chance. But also, if they load up the box and put a lot of people to stop the run, we got to be able to throw it. And being balanced last week helped us move the ball a lot. And we're going to have to be able to do that tonight also.
Defensively tonight, what are some of your biggest concerns for you defensively, Coach Coleman?
Oh, it's to stop Trey. I mean, he's a great running back. He's a load to bring down. And almost every one of their games, he's broke a long run, a 50, 60-year-long run. Centennial, Brentwood. I mean, he's always breaking a long run. You've got to limit his, I guess, large runs to zero. Make them 3 yards at a time, 4 yards at a time, and just limit the big plays. So our defensive line has to be low and not get pushed off the ball and, limit the big plays.
What are some keys for you guys tonight, Coach Stidham?
Well, it's the same. You can't give up big plays, but they do. Their quarterback's an outstanding football player, and he can throw it and run it, and that's a great equalizer in football because you drop back to pass, and then he'll take off, and then you bring people up, and then he throws it over the top of you. So it's got to start every time. You got to stop the run, and we got to try to not give up the big play and keep making them snap it again. And like Coach said, turnover is going to be huge tonight. It's huge in every game, but it's kind of compounded in a big rivalry game like tonight.
With you guys, and y'all have both done a good job of this. I've watched you during your careers. Obviously, Coach Coleman, I've been here, and Coach Stidham, I've done some research on you. You've switched up how you've played offensively based on your personnel, but you guys talk about running the ball tonight. I guarantee you, looking at your past, you both like the fact that it's going to be a run the ball kind of game.
Yeah, we've always liked to sloppy up the game. Always want to run the football first. I mean, that's just the way we built this program, and I think that's what works late in the season when it gets cold and when it gets sloppy. That's what our philosophy has always been. I mean, air raid is good, and you can break big plays, but it gets cold outside and it starts raining. That football gets rock hard. Things change later on in the year. Coach
Stidham.
Well, you don't every year you don't have a Trey Hartwell. I mean, they don't. I wish they did, but we got to give him the ball. He gives us the best chance, and our offensive line, like we said, Jeremy Blackburn playing that left tackle as a senior that's playing his first year, starting his first year on the offensive line. Him with the other guys, they continue to get better, and I think every offensive lineman, if you ask them, would rather run block than pass block. So we let them start with that. And hopefully we can do it tonight.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you being here today. We're looking forward to the border battle tonight, Independence and Summit High School. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.